Hey guys, it's Shannon. Today I'm going to do a video talking about expiration dates, and particularly on beauty products. The reason that I'm doing this video, actually this is a video that I have thought about doing a million times. I've been on YouTube for a couple years and just never did it because to me it's just kind of a boring video, I think, and also I mean, anybody who had science in elementary school should know all of this information anyway, I sort of feel like. But what's happened in the last couple days to make me just push forward and do the video was, first of all, there's a video up by some gurus. They're actually sisters. You probably know who they are, and I might even make this a video response to their video. I'm not really sure. Where, anyway, they were talking about a subscription service that everybody subscribes to, and they had mentioned that one of the products that came with this subscription service in this particular mailing of it was a lip product, and that there was a lot of hullabaloo going on over the internet over the fact that this lip product is supposed to expire in this coming July. And apparently people are annoyed by that. I don't know if it's because the short expiration time frame or what the situation is, but anyway. So they just happened to mention it, and they were just sort of like, I don't know what to think about that. So I just happened to comment, put a comment down in the comments that said, more than likely the reason, what the reason was that the product was expiring, and that in all reality, as long as that particular situation was not a concern for them, people can probably use the products, beyond the expiration date. Although I do understand that they're annoyed that they only get such a short amount of time frame before it expires. Really the issue is that the company is clearing out excess product that's about to expire quickly rather than giving them, fresh new products right off the line. So anyway, their response was, something good to know or something like that. So I just kind of got the impression that I had maybe just given them some information that they didn't actually know. Well, the next thing that happened was the very next day. That video went up, I think, just 2 days ago. Then yesterday I watched a video from a well-known guru who happens to be male, and everybody likes him because he's cute. And he is a person who I think really tries to do research. I think he gets a lot of his ideas on what to do videos on based on things that he's reading in, a lot of beauty books that are available out there. And then I think when he doesn't know something, he tries to get to do research on it and then present it as if it's something that, he's known for a long time. And I think it's fine. I think people really should try to do research on products, or there is a lot of good information available on the internet, but there's also a lot of bad information on the internet. And quite frankly, if you don't have a good base of knowledge already to start with when you start to research online, you're more than likely going to look in all the wrong places or maybe misunderstand some things. And what this video kind of ended up being was, it started off, the title of it is something about expiration dates and, what they mean. But then the entire video ended up being a video talking about bacteria getting in your products. So it really wasn't a video about expiration dates and why they're printed on products. It was a video about when you've let your product get too funky and should throw it out by not using, clean practices with it. And also, he happened to mention, have a little mention of the FDA, and that the FDA expiration dates, there's allowance for a certain amount of bacteria, and that a lot of times you can open a product, after expiration dates, and the products are just as good as, they were before, and that kind of stuff. Well, I feel like, from what he was saying, I kind of feel like he was looking at expiration dates when it has to do with food products and the freshness of food products more than beauty products, because there are different rules for different categories. And that's one thing about going on the internet. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for when you're researching, you can kind of stumble across similar things, but not get the right information. So not only did I feel like the video didn't really address expiration dates specifically and why they even exist and, you know, that kind of thing, but I kind of think that maybe some of the research got skewed and was found from some of the wrong places. But that doesn't mean I don't like them. It just means that I feel like there is a gap in information out there, and so I want to fill the gap. But anyway, after that happened 2 days in a row, I was kind of like, okay, I get it. You know, the environment, the world, you know, spiritual plane is trying to tell me to do this video. You know, I mean, it's happened 2 days in a row, it's come up 2 days in a row, and so it's time for me to interject. Part of why I didn't do this video before also is that, you know, I sort of feel like if you are a person who is subscribed to a teenager who has no life history, who has no work history, who has no scientific history, no basis really in the industry whatsoever other than having agents and a promotional team that get your name out there so that you get 1 million tween subscribers. If you're one of those people that follows that person and looks to that person for all of your information, then I sort of get a sick pleasure in watching you screw things up all the time because of having bad judgment to begin with. So, you know, I have a little bit of a sick, twisted sense of humor in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of the people who really know their stuff are, you know, have 100 or fewer subscribers and probably will never get their name out there. So look for those people on the internet. If you are somebody who subscribes and follows people, look for those people on the internet. They probably are not going to be the most entertaining. In fact, their videos might be very boring, but you will get a lot of real information from those people. So that's my little snippet of advice there. Okay, expiration dates. Why do companies put expiration dates on packaging? Well, I'm going to tell you. You know, it really doesn't have anything to do with FDA for the most part. It doesn't have to do with trying to protect customers. It doesn't have to do with bacteria. What it has to do with is stability. And I know you're thinking, stability? What are you talking about, Shannon? What do you mean stability? I'm talking about molecular stability of the product itself. This is going to be a very scientific conversation. Okay? And the reality is that companies do not put expiration dates on their products to protect the consumer. I'm going to tell you a little secret, so come in closer. A little closer. This is a big secret. Okay. Companies do not put expiration dates on their products to protect the consumer. They do it to protect themselves. Yes, it's true. Companies put expiration dates on products in order to protect themselves and to make sure that they are keeping an increasing amount of revenue. Let's think about this for a second. Let's talk about food for just 1 second. If a company put a product on the shelves that had no expiration date on it, and let's just say it's a cupcake, and that product sat on the shelves for 10 years before you finally came along and bought it. Is that product, now, we know Twinkies can last forever, but is the cupcake going to be as good 10 years down the road as it was on the very first day it hit the shelves? Probably not. And the reality is, if you buy that cupcake, what companies know about us as consumers is they know if you buy that cupcake 10 years down the road and you bite into it and it is hard as a rock and there's no expiration, there's no dates or anything to tell you that you shouldn't be eating that because it's way too old, that your impression of the company now is poor and that you're not going to go back and buy those cupcakes again because you don't know that it's sat on the shelf for 10 years. You have nothing to gauge it from if there's no expiration date on the product. And so you're going to start telling people, you know, I bought this cupcake from this company and it was hard as a rock, and don't ever use that company. You know, it was terrible. So companies know that about us. And so what they are doing when they put an expiration date on a product is they are guaranteeing, they are giving you a date that they are able to guarantee that the product is the same quality up to that date as it was on the very first day it was manufactured. And that's it. Now, what causes a product to expire? What are the reasons they need the expiration dates to begin with? When you're talking about the beauty industry, there are basically 3 reasons why products expire. And that's it. 3 reasons. Okay, now this is the scientific part of the conversation. The first reason is because of SPF. Alright? This little bottle of stuff right here. SPF is a product that does break down over time. Now, from a company standpoint, imagine if they sold an SPF, there was no expiration date on it. You used the product 10 years down the road on your 3-year-old kid. You slather them up, every 45 minutes to an hour on the hour, all day long, and your child came home with 3rd-degree burns because they'd been out in 96-degree weather, sunshine, all day long, and the SPF was no longer any good, and now they're injured. I mean, you're going to sue the pants off this company, right? So how do they protect themselves from that happening? They tell you on the product, we can only guarantee that this product is going to work the same as it did on the very first day we manufactured it up to this particular time. After that time, you are on your own, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that companies realize that there's a lot of money that is spent in dealing with products that get returned. So they also know that if you are opened up a product and it was, dried out a different color, something was wrong with it, that you're just going to send it back to them anyway. And it costs them more money to deal with returns than it does to just pull a product off of the shelves when it's expired, go through their recycle process and give you something fresh. It's much cheaper from a company standpoint to do that than it is to actually have to have an individual working to process the return, to, ship it all back, to potentially lose you as a customer, all that sort of thing. Okay, so the number one reason why most beauty products expire is because they have an SPF in them. All right, and that is the situation that happened with the lip balm that I was referring to earlier. More than likely, now they did say what kind of lip balm it was, but I didn't look into it. I just happened to tell them more than likely there's an SPF in it, because the number one reason why a beauty product will have an expiration date on it is because there's SPF included in it. So go right now and go pull out all of your beauty products that have expiration dates on them and look at them. How many of them have SPFs on them? A lot of them. If there's no SPF, there's more than likely not an expiration date in most cases. Okay, so let's talk about SPF for a minute. I mean, obviously SPF needs to work. You don't want to, like I said before, you don't want to be slathering your 3-year-old in a product that doesn't work and have them, injured because the product failed. There's a lot of things you need to know about SPF. If you are a smart consumer, there are things you need to know. Number one, you need to know that a product is packaged in packaging that you cannot see through because sunlight breaks it down. SPF is a product that sunlight does break down over time, sunlight and oxygen. And so you never want to take a product that has SPF in it and transfer it into a clear container for any reason, because the product will break down and it will not be effective. That's why the company chose to put it in a package that you cannot see through in the first place, to keep it from breaking down. The second thing is that when it comes to SPF, and this is where the company isn't really protecting you, they're protecting themselves. When it comes to SPF, for instance, this is a bottle that I just got like a month or 2 ago because I needed some more. And the expiration date on this happens to be August of 2013. Okay, so it gives me a little over a year to use this product. But the reality is that if I open this product today, really after about 1 year of regular use, I should throw it out, because the amount of times that you open and close the bottle or get into the bottle or store it improperly, throw it in your glove compartment, it is in the hot sun and boils, or in the cold and freezes. Realistically, from the point that I open the bottle, it's got about a year of use in it before the SPF is going to break down. Similarly, what if I didn't pay attention to the expiration date and I bought this bottle in July of 2013? Well, it's only got another month left. I mean, what do I do now? Well, yes, the company can only guarantee that the product is going to work as efficiently for one more month as it would have if you'd bought this bottle on the first day. However, with normal use, the product is not going to break down immediately. So you can get a couple more months out of this product after the SPF, or after the expiration date has expired. However, if something goes wrong at that point, you're not going to be able to sue the company because you used your product for too long. So you just need to use common sense with it. Can you use it through September and October of 2013? Yeah, more than likely you can. Realistically, you probably could get a year's worth of use out of it after the expiration date. But no two products are the same, and you don't really, this isn't a product you really want to kind of gamble, take that gamble with. The risk just isn't worth it. So, I mean, if you want, use your common sense and you want to use it for, to get you through the rest of the warm months, you probably can. But I wouldn't push your luck. Okay, so a lot of lip products have SPF in them. Now, lip products are one that the SPF might be in a short time frame anyway. I mean, it's not a stretch to expect an SPF for a lip balm to only be, a handful of months, because realistically, how often do you open a lip balm? All the time, right? You're slathering that stuff on, multiple times a day usually. And so it is going to expire a lot more quickly than a product that, like a face cream that you maybe only use in the mornings, once a day, and only gets open once a day. It's not being as the face cream is not being exposed to the elements, sunlight and oxygen, as often as the lip balm is. So it would make sense for the lip balm to expire in to have a much shorter time frame that you can use it before it expires than, say, a face cream. Okay. Now, since I mentioned face creams, let's talk about the second reason in the beauty industry that most products expire. The second reason is that products a lot of times will have glycerin in them. And face creams and lotions are the probably biggest user of glycerin kind of in the beauty industry. So what does glycerin do? Why is glycerin a product? Well, glycerin is what makes face creams, that pretty fluffy, shiny white color. Okay? So normally when a face cream is made, from the very first day that it's made, it will most likely look a little bit more like this. Brown or tan or some kind of off color. So companies realize that if you open a product and it is brown like this, and it doesn't say on the front of it coffee, that there's coffee in it, you're most likely going to be like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with this. That's got to be things growing in it, and you are not going to use that product, and you're going to return it, and what have you. Companies realize that. So what do? Well, they take glycerin and they attach it to the molecules, and they mix it all up, and they turn it white so that it looks pretty. Okay, so this is where I was talking about the molecular stability of a product. So when you get a product like a face cream that doesn't have SPF in it but still has an expiration date on it, it's probably, if you look in the ingredients, probably the fourth or fifth ingredient at least is going to be glycerin. So what happens over time is that glycerin, hangs on to these molecules, and it keeps them nice and white and pretty. But over time, glycerin is not a super stable material, and over time it will break apart. And so what happens when it breaks apart is that the color starts to turn back to what the real color originally was. So a company knows that if you open a product and it looks funky, that not only are you going to return their product, so they're going to have to pay somebody to deal with the return, but number two, that you're not going to buy their products again. So how much revenue have they just lost by losing you as a customer? So rather than deal with that, they know, well, hey, we'll just put an expiration date on it that projects when the glycerin is probably going to break down, and then you know how much time you have in order to buy a product. Now, we have to remember that expiration dates are not about when a product actually goes bad. What they're what they really are is a date when a store is supposed to remove the product from their shelves. Okay? Expiration dates, let me repeat that. Expiration dates really, for the most part, have nothing to do with when a product goes bad. They have everything to do with when a company is supposed to remove the product from their shelves, when stores are supposed to take it off their shelves and restock with new stuff. Why is that? It's because they do not want to take the risk of you opening the product, not understanding that there was glycerin in it and that it has turned but there's nothing wrong with it, and returning it and never coming back as a customer again. Okay? So, if a product has glycerin in it and it doesn't have SPF in it and it's past the expiration date and it turns brown, can you still use the product? Absolutely. Is it still as effective? Absolutely. More than likely, it is going to be just as effective in what it actually does for your skin as it was on the day that the product manufactured. It just doesn't look pretty anymore. Okay, so as long as you can tell that you don't have mold growing in it, you know, visible bacteria, funky things growing in it, if you have cared for a product properly and kept it clean, kept your fingers clean, didn't put your funky fingernails down in it, all that kind of stuff, if you can tell by looking at the product that the only thing that has happened is that the color has changed back, then absolutely you can keep using it. It's still going to do what it was designed to do. And as a matter of fact, some companies have realized that they can make even more money if they tell you that on the box. And this is a company that has done that. This is Reviva Labs. I don't have the boxes anymore. I wish I did. But on the boxes for these products, it actually stated on there, after a few weeks of use, this product may change color and turn brown. The product is still effective at that point. This company has realized that the ingredients in this product and glycerin are not stable for very long at all. And so these products changed to their brown color. This product started off as a clear gel when I first bought it. And the expiration, I've had this for over a year and I still haven't reached the expiration date. Yeah, July of 2012. Same with this. This product was a nice white milky, you know, sort of cream or lotion, just like this one. And I've not reached the expiration date on it either. Yeah, July 2012. Now this product I've had for years, and I'm not talking a few years, I'm talking 8, 9, 10 years, a really long time, and it still hasn't lost its color. The glycerin still hasn't broken up in this one yet. And so that just has to do, and this is way past whatever expiration date might have been printed on the product, which would be because of SPF in it, versus these that I haven't really had that long and they broke down really quickly. You know, why is that? Well, it has to do with how the glycerin, how well the glycerin is able to attach to whatever other ingredients are in the product. This product has ingredients that glycerin, you know, can't hold itself to nearly as well as this product. And so what this company realized is we can't be putting products on the shelf that turn brown in 3 to 4 weeks after a customer uses it, and have a customer use, you know, half of the product and then return it because they say it goes bad. You know, we can't have that. We can't have customers buying these, using up half the jar, having it turn bad in a few weeks, and then sending it back to us for, you know, for their money back or for a replacement product, and keep doing that over and over and over again. So we're going to have to educate the customers and tell them it looks pretty now, but it's not going to look pretty forever, and it's okay, keep using it. Don't send it back to us. And that's what they did. They printed on the box, this product will change color after a few weeks, but it's, you know, still fine. You can keep using it. Okay? So they realized that it is worth it to them financially to tell us that information. So they did. But, you know, like I said, there's the expiration date. I still have plenty of time on the expiration date. The glycerin is no longer useful, but there are other products in here that are still useful. So, well, that brings the question, well, there's no SPF in these. There's no, you know, the glycerin is already broken down, so that's not what the expiration date is about. What is it about? More than likely, it's about the acids. that at some point the acids will no longer be as effective, because this does have glycolic acid in it. So at some point the acids are going to no longer be quite as effective, and you're not going to get the results that they are guaranteeing. And again, at that point, it's about, we don't want a customer to pick up a product long after they ever should have and not get results, and then go not only number one, never buy products from us again, but number two, go around and badmouth us all over, you know, their neighborhood so that nobody else buys our products either. That's about protecting their company by making sure you have good expectations from the point that you open the product. And it holds stores accountable as well. It partially has to do with accountability of stores, that they are, you know, processing the products that they're selling properly. So, you know, by putting an expiration date on it, it means the store has to yank it off the shelves versus, you know, trying to sell things long after they should. It also means that stores are also going to always put the oldest product to the front of the shelf, so that the new products, you know, when the vendor, when they order some more, the newer products will go to the back, so they're always selling the oldest products first, that kind of thing. I mentioned, you know, acids, that acids over time can be less effective. So what's an example of a product that works, you know, similarly to or exactly the same as an acid that breaks down over time, that the beauty community would use, that doesn't have expiration dates on it? Well, a good example is hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, have you ever wondered why they have them in these ugly brown bottles? It's not because they think that this is beautiful packaging. I mean, it's not because somebody said, ooh, I really love a brown bottle sitting on my counter, that's so pretty. No, it's because sunlight will break down the peroxide over time, and so in order to keep that from happening, they have to use a dark bottle that sunlight cannot penetrate to keep the product stable. So why don't they put expiration dates on it then? Because they don't really have to. This is a product that people will continue to use until the bottle is empty, and they don't know one way or another whether it's working as efficiently or not. It doesn't stop bubbling. You know, hydrogen peroxide, we know that it works because it bubbles up. Well, it'll still bubble up even if this bottle is, you know, 30 years old of product. So there really is no way for the consumer to open it and be like, oh, this isn't good anymore. So the companies are never going to get, you know, they're not losing money by us returning products going, this has gone bad, you know. There's just no need to regulate it. They haven't found that they've needed to protect themselves in that way, so they just don't. But, you know, how many of you have a bottle of this though? You know, under your cabinet, and how many years has it been there? Have you ever taken it out of this bottle and put it into something else, like a squirt bottle, or maybe you needed to take a little travel container with you? Travel containers are the worst idea ever, ever, ever. I never, ever, ever, for any reason ever, take products out of the bottles that they were manufactured in and put them into those little clear travel containers. Why is that? It's because if it is a product like this, that it is in a protected bottle, as soon as you do that, you have ruined it. So I don't care how many big bottles of shampoo and conditioner and face creams and whatever I have to pack and take with me. I don't care if I have to pay to have a second suitcase because I have so many of them. I always carry them in the bottle that they were manufactured in. Now, if I can buy a small bottle of it and make it more convenient, you know, like if they made a little bottle of this, then I would buy that one to travel in because it's still in the protected container that the company knows will protect the product. But I'm never, ever, ever, you will never see me taking one product and transferring it into another container. How many gurus and makeup artists have you seen that take their lipsticks and they scrape them out and they transfer them into little clear jars? Or, you know, whatever the product is. Their face creams, they take their face creams out and they put it into little travel jars. Or their shampoos and conditioners, they take them out and they pour them into the little travel jars. And then they have their carrying case full of all these little travel jars. Wrong answer. If I were paying a makeup artist to do my makeup and they showed up with a case full of those little containers, I would be like, canceled. Our session today is canceled right now. No, because that person is not educated enough in their products and how they're made and what they're made up of to keep you protected. So let's talk about another product that breaks down in the beauty community, but that doesn't have expiration dates on it. And I'm going to see if you guys can guess this one, so I'm going to give you a minute to think about it for a second. A product that you know breaks down over time, but that doesn't have expiration dates on that. What might that product be? Perfumes. We know that perfumes, their scent changes, their color changes. We know all of that, right? But there's no expiration date on the package. Why have perfumeries decided not to give expiration dates? Why have they decided not to, protect themselves from us returning, the bottles? Well, for one thing, the time for a product for perfumes to break down is much longer than the 3 or 4 weeks that it took for these to break down. So 5 years from now, if my product has turned colors, I'm not going to be able to return it. I'm not going to be able to go to that store. There's a good chance that store won't even exist anymore, let alone, take my return 5 years later when the bottle's half empty. I mean, it just doesn't happen, right? So that's the first reason why they don't. The second reason why they don't is because they've told us. They've told us everything we need to know. They've told us, do not store these in sunlight because sunlight breaks the product down. That's one reason. The other reason is they know that we are essentially not any more evolved than gorillas, and that the reason we choose perfumes half of the time or more than half the time is because we think the bottle is pretty. Because I know you're saying to yourself, well, if sunlight breaks down perfume, then why don't they store it in something like this? Well, they do in the factory. You better believe they do. But the reason they don't here is because they know that we're a bunch of idiots, and that a lot of us buy perfumes not because of how it smells, but because of how pretty the bottle will look on our vanity. Right? Have you done that? Have you? Are you guilty? Have you done that? Probably yes. Probably at least once, right? But what do they do to try to protect it? I mean, they do everything they can to protect themselves up until you get it home. And then it's sort of like, once you get it home, whatever you do with it is your own fault. But one thing they do is you will always find perfumes packaged in boxes that you cannot see through. And why is that? That's because they are protecting the product until the point when you get it home and take it out. And then at that point, you're on your own, right? A perfumer would always tell you to always store your perfumes in the boxes. If we were smart, we would stop buying perfumes based on how pretty the bottles were and buy them based on how pretty the boxes were and store them in the boxes on our vanity, because that is protecting the perfume from sunlight. But we don't do that, right? But still, it's still a beauty product that doesn't have an expiration date on it, and it is a product, though, that does break down over time. Which brings me to the third reason that there are expiration dates on products. And that third reason is usually because there is some type of natural ingredient that does spoil over time in the product. A good example of this are Lush products. There are a lot of Lush products that have a very short time frame that you can use them, and a lot of them have to be refrigerated. I'm sure you guys, if you haven't used those products before, you've seen gurus make videos talking about those products, that it's a product that has to stay refrigerated. Okay, so there are ingredients that take, natural ingredients that take a long time to break down, which, like fragrance oils. That's the third reason that products that break down, is because maybe it's a face mask that's made with natural banana, and you know that, I mean, go grind up your banana, and how long is it healthy to eat? I mean, you're not going to eat it past a day or two for sure, and even then, you're kind of pushing it, right? If you ground it up and just left it sitting in the open air, I mean, it's going to be nasty. Well, putting it inside products, even if there are preservatives in those products, it still is going to rot and spoil over time. So they can get a handful of days out of it, but it doesn't have a long expiration date. So it's the same thing. They put an expiration date on it because they can't guarantee after that point that it is going to appear and work the same way that it did as the first day that it was manufactured. And you know, again, it's about setting expectations with the customer. They don't want you to get it after the banana in the mask has spoiled and have you never use their company again because you think they make these disgusting products, right? So natural ingredients typically are the third reason. And for the most part, I can't think of any other reasons besides those three that you will ever see expiration dates on beauty products. So if you have a product that has an expiration date on it and you are trying to decide, you know, you're getting close to or have gone beyond the expiration date and you are trying to decide whether you should continue to use that product or not, start to look at the ingredients. The first thing to look for is SPF, because more than likely it's SPF. If you are beyond the SPF, use your good judgment. You know, you could maybe get away with using it for a little while after the expiration date, but if you have used the product many times in the past, I would say chuck it and get a new one. If you have only opened the bottle maybe once or twice, you probably are okay to still use it as long as it's still in the protective packaging that came in. Okay? If there's no SPF and there's still an expiration date, the second thing you should look for in the ingredients is glycerin. When it comes to glycerin, remember that glycerin is its only use in the product is to make the product look pretty and white and fluffy and shiny. And so if the product no longer looks pretty and white and fluffy and shiny, but it doesn't smell, there isn't anything visibly growing in it, it doesn't have little spots of discoloration, you know, if it's a uniform color, then you probably can still keep using it. It's probably going to be fine. You might want to keep in the back of your mind whether there are any acidic properties to it, like salicylic acid, hydroquinone, any of those sorts of things, and make your decision based on whether you feel that you're getting the same results as you initially did with those acids. But if you are, then continue to use the product. You can still get some good use out of it. If it is a product that has natural ingredients in it, there's no SPF, there's no glycerin, but it has, you know, some kind of fresh fruit or vegetable or something mixed into it. It's an avocado mask, it's a strawberry something, it's a banana something, and it's a fresh ingredients, and it's most likely a product that needs to be refrigerated once it's been opened, and you pass the expiration date, get rid of it. I mean, you can get some more. Those products are not intended to be kept for a long time anyway. Those are products you really need to start using as soon as you purchase them and use them up as quickly as you can. Again, the expiration date has more to do with when's the last day it should stay on the shelves before it gets taken off the shelf. It doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't still a few good days in it after the expiration date, but I wouldn't use it more than a few days after the expiration date, and that's only if you have stored it the way it was described to be stored on the package. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions about any of that, please feel free to leave your questions. I'm happy to explain things further if I need to. But anyway, this is all information that you probably really did learn in elementary school, but particularly to do with the packaging and why things are stored, you know, the way that they are. But if not, it's okay. It's never too late to learn. And so take this information, go forth and spread it and share it with all of your friends. And leave some comments, thumbs up, subscribe, and have a good week. Bye, guys.